I know a lot of people, and you do too, who are very good at what they do, but they're not joyful people, and they're certainly not much fun to be with. I know individuals who are expert in their professions, but they're not very enjoyable people. They're not people that you want to go out and have dinner with.
Hi again, everybody. This is Heartbeat, the podcast, featuring insights from the more than 50 years of work put together by Landon Saunders. On today's episode, we're joining Landon as he is visiting with a group of professional service providers located in Vancouver, British Columbia. The topic is joy. Now, here again is Landon Saunders.
Some time ago, I was dealing with a variety of issues in the northeastern part of the United States. And after one of the lectures, during a break, a woman came up to me and was obviously exasperated. Her face was drawn. She was near tears and very nettled about something. And she began to tell her story. And her story was one that has been repeated all over North America, really in the world, but maybe particularly in Western society. She had two children, two sons, and in their early years, her husband left her, abandoned her and the children, was not a good father even in absentia, and was not eager to support her. Consequently, she had had a rather long and difficult and strenuous period of time trying to rear those two boys. And she began to describe what that was like, how she had to work 2 and sometimes 3 jobs just to make the ends meet. She could get no money at all most of the time from him. How that she had to wear the cap of both mother and father. And so she would take the boys fishing, and she would try to take them camping, and she would try to make the ball games. And in short, her life was absolutely and totally strung out, really in her almost desperate desire to do right by her children as a single parent. Now she said they're married and we have grandchildren. And she said, who do you think they spend their time with now? It was that scoundrel to whom she was once married and their father. She felt abandoned. She was hurt. She felt rejected. And the more she described this, the more distraught she became, until I was finally looking at an individual who was apoplectic. She was near a stroke. And when she paused, as gently as I could, I asked her, I said, were you and are you any fun to be with? Now, I can't repeat that because it sounds very stark and like I was very cruel. But I tried to do that as gently as I could. And she was stunned. She was shocked. It seemed that the color just drained out of her face. Her eyes filled with tears. And I said, now, let me explain what I mean by that. What you have been through is not right. It's not fair. There's nothing just about that. And you worked your fingers to the bone. You gave up all of your life for those boys. You did everything imaginable to make their lives easier. And now, it's obvious, and you have a right for all the feelings that you have. But when they come to visit you now, how do you feel? Are you bitter because they visit their father now? Are you bitter because they spend time? And do you talk about this a lot when you're with them? Do you complain a lot? And with your grandchildren, are you able really to enjoy your grandchildren? Are you able to enjoy your sons and their wives? Or are you eaten up with this injustice? Are your bitter feelings sort of taking command and dominating this entire relationship? And is that perhaps the reason that they might not come around quite so much? Are you enjoyable to be with? And then I said, it's not too late. What you need to do at this moment is go straight to the telephone. And you tell them about this conversation. You tell them that as you've reflected upon what you went through and the way you are right now, that you're not quite sure that you've been fun to be with. That maybe the thing that you would like more than anything else in all the world is the thing that somehow through your own behavior that you've made difficult and almost not possible. And I said, if you'll tell them that you've made a mistake, and that if they'll give you just one more chance, that you promise them that you're going to make every effort to be a mother who is fun to be with, that you want to be a grandmother who is enjoyable, that the grandchildren just will not be able to wait to get to her. They'll give you another chance. It's not too late. Now, that simple experience reflects to me, and I hope to you, one of the most important and central aspects of human life, and that is joyfulness. Joyfulness. We've named this joy. It's getting along with ourselves and getting along with others. That joy is the central dynamic of what it means to be a human being. Now, let's develop that a little bit from just philosophically, and then we'll get to some practical applications. First of all, I'd like to ask you, what do you think the world is for? I mean, that's the big question. Maybe that's about as big a question as you can get. What is this world really for? And to layer a second question on that, what is a human being for? Not what do we do, not what do we think, but I'm asking, what is your life for? On the very last day of your life, in the last hour of your life, in the last moments of your life, what will count? What will be the central, most important thing? That somehow, when I think about what a life is, I can name so many things that a life is. Life is relationships, and life is leisure, and life is work, and life is laughter, and life is sports, and life is friendship, and life is marriage, maybe, and life is all of these different things that comprise and make up life. But the thing that I may not do is ask, what is the total for? Now, my own view of the world is, and one might say this is a faith. I wouldn't know any other way to put it, because there are some things that science just can't quite get to. But I think this one makes a lot of sense. That in my own response to what the world is for is joy. I believe that that's what it's for, and that's the kind of place in which I try to live every day. I believe that at the center of the universe, there's music. I believe there are music in the stars, music in the spheres, music among the planets. I believe there's music in the oceans, and the whales seem to know that. The whales sing. I believe there's music in the trees, and there's music in the bubbling brook, and there's music in the grass. I believe there's music in human beings. I believe that all the universe at its core is a universe of joy. The stars and the sun and the moon sings. Now the environment, the ecology of the environment in which I am trying to work out my life in which I'm trying to get along with myself, in which I'm trying to get along with you, or get along with others, get along with those members of our families, or get along with those people who are in the workplace, some of them extraordinarily ornery, is somehow to make a decision about the kind of world that I choose to inhabit. And I've made my choice. I live in a joyful universe. My own belief is that human beings and all things come from joy, and that they're good. Of course there's spoilage. Of course there's tragedy. Of course there's disappointment. Of course there's loss. Of course there's suffering. Of course there's pain. None of those have anything to do with joyfulness. That the world is made for joy, and that we have to, as human beings, decide, come down hard on the side of joy. Now, what are relationships for? Well, relationships are for a lot of things, but centrally, aren't they for joy? And if they don't come to joy, then what's the point? Your life, what is your life for? It's for joyfulness. And I'm telling you, on that last day, in that last hour, and in those final moments, it does not matter what you've gone through, how great your losses may have been, how many your failures have been. It doesn't make any difference how much pain or suffering there's been in your life, that you have a right on your way out of this reality to go out in joy. Now, if that's important, then I will frame my entire life around it. If I don't think that through, and I'd like for us to take a few moments right now and just drift off in your own thoughts and ask, is this why I wake up in the morning? I wake up for joy. Is this the thing that I want to be my last memory when I go to sleep? I could tell you a lot of things about the workplace. I could tell you a lot of things about professions. We could share a lot of information. But if we miss this, then haven't we missed that to which all of these other matters point? I know a lot of people, and you do too, who are very good at what they do, but they're not joyful people, and they're certainly not much fun to be with. I know individuals who are expert in their professions, but they're not very enjoyable people. They're not people that you want to go out and have dinner with. And I sort of think that that's the sort of final criteria. Would you want to go have dinner with this person? Would you want to be a boss that none of your employees would want to go have dinner with? Would you want to go have dinner with your boss? Would you like to have dinner with the people for whom you work? You know, those who work in management all the time say that it isn't enough because there's so much manipulation in the workplace. Everybody is manipulating everybody else in order to accomplish whatever the ends they've decided ought to be reached. And so employers can manipulate employees to make the bottom line better. And we're always using people to try to get to somewhere else. And we've not quite realized that the first law of what it means to be a human being is to enjoy each other and to enjoy things for what we are. And if I can do that, then a lot of other things can fall into place. In people who work in various industries, the thing that the bosses, the managers, have to be asked is, do you go down to the loading docks and do you like to hang out with those who are loading the trucks? Do you like to hang out with them? If I see all of those who answer to me all the way down the line as functionaries, as tools, as implements in my hand to accomplish what I want them to do, and that I command, and I say, you can do this and you must do that, and the human element is entirely and completely left out, then I think we're in trouble. We've got so many words today, and so many ideas, and so many thoughts, and so many to-dos, and so many formulas, and so many solutions, that the thing that we're focusing on in this beginning time is, what lies at the heart of all of this? Is there anything that really breaks through?
And that question, what lies at the heart of all of this, tees up our next episode, where we'll rejoin Landon and this group of professional service providers in British Columbia. If you liked today's program and you'd like to hear more, then we encourage you to subscribe and comment wherever you receive your podcast material. This podcast is made possible by Friends of Heartbeat, who invite you to visit the website thisisheartbeat.com for more information about materials available through Landon's work. And until our next episode, this is Heartbeat, the podcast.